Kyle here. We're traveling from Portland to Marion, Indiana. I'm going to go to the picture show. I'm going to go see G.I Joe Retaliation. I'm going to hook up with some buddies, and first we're going to go to B-Dubs, then we're going to go to the show. But the problem is I'm clear over in Jay County, Indiana. I got to travel to Grant County, which is like 2 counties over. And yeah, I'm wanting to check this out. I've heard mixed things about G.I. Joe. To be honest with you, I was not a big fan of the first movie, but yeah, we're willing to check this out. And so we'll see you later.
Let me get this straight. One whole weekend, you looking after my little girls.
Yep, as long as I can bring this. I love your kids, but they live to terrorize me.
I do. See that?
Security's early.
Ready, and stop.
They're all dead.
There's only one man who could authorize a strike like that. And I voted for him.
My fellow world leaders, this country is at war. The new Special Forces unit, codenamed Cobra, will protect us, where the Joes could not. The G.I. Joes are no more.
What if the president isn't the president?
You're insane.
Our government has been infiltrated. Any and all traces of our existence is terminated.
We have to assume that there's no one we can trust.
There is one man. He's the reason we call ourselves Joes.
Take 2 cases of Thin Mints and a box of Chuckalucks.
General Colton.
Call me Joe.
What Cobra did to us, they're gonna do to the world.
This is it, boys. This is what we waited for.
Boom.
Whoever did this will be back.
We're all that's left. Let's get to work. World ain't saving itself. You went wrong. I wasn't gonna bury any more Joes. Something else is going on here. Get out of there now.
Idol's a little rough and neutral.
I ain't gonna be in neutral.
All right, so G.I. Joe Retaliation. Man, I gotta say this. When I get into this review, this film was just typical action movie, and needless to say, I thought this film was very, very entertaining. Very, very well done. Of course, I'm just jumping right into the whole thing. Very, very well done movie. I like The Rock. I like, pretty much everybody that's in the movie. Now, comparing this to the first film, G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra, I think it's a step up. I honestly do, because I did not really care for The Rise of Cobra, and it was just, it felt like the studio was saying, Transformers, which was a huge, popular, gargantuan, money-making movie, what else can we expose just like Transformers? Well, the other cartoon was G.I. Joe. And in the same fashion of Transformers, they scrapped everything. They just kept, the G.I. Joe operation and, the villains like Cobra Commander, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, those characters. Now, here in the second movie, Retaliation, I felt that they did the same thing, but they actually did a more interesting story about it. There was just something about the Rise of Cobra I didn't really care for. It's just... well, one of my friends that I saw it with, as you saw in the video, I saw it with some friends. He basically said, well, it was like the introductory course and kind of exposing everybody who is not familiar with G.I. Joe what G.I. Joe was. And so you took two ordinary guys and actually go through the training and blah, 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 blah. It just didn't click with me. I do have it on Blu-ray. It isn't a entertaining movie, but it's just campy and whatever. It's I just didn't like it. Now, Retaliation was actually, I thought, a step above, but it's still in that campy, ridiculous fashion. It is a straight popcorn flick. You have Dwayne Johnson, he's the main guy. He's the main hero, and you do have one person from the first movie that returns. Thankfully, the Wayans brother does not return. Channing Tatum's in it for like the first half hour. I'm not going to explain what happens to his character, but then you get into the whole thing with the villains and things like that. The nice thing is about this is regardless, even though I didn't like the first movie, it did continue on with the first movie's story. That because at the end of the first movie, you have the character of Zartan taking on the form of the president. He was injected with a serum that changes his face, and so he can go under disguise as the president while they take the real president and put him in hostage. But I think it was more entertaining. It was more action packed. It was more laughable. It was a bit more fun to watch, and it was just a very entertaining movie. To say it's on the level of The Dark Knight or anything like that, not quite. I give it, in terms of stars, I give it 3.5. It was an enjoyable movie. It was a good time at the movies. Nothing more, nothing less. And plus, and the thing that really got to me about this movie was it was supposed to come out last year. And, of course, Paramount, who's the distributor of the film, they said last year that we are pulling G.I. Joe Retaliation from release, which was supposed to come out in July. They said we're pulling it from release, and they demanded that the theaters actually take down the promotions and stuff like that and send it back to the theater, or send it back to the distributor, with Paramount, and say we're going to release this film later on. However, we're going to do post-conversion 3D on it. That's what really ticked me off about it. And I posted on several comments. I posted on AMC Theaters, and I posted on Yahoo, and I said, they've just ruined the movie. Needless to say, I did not spend my hard-earned money on the 3D post-conversion crap. I spent it on the good old 2D, well, not good old, but I spent it on the 2D digital. I did not waste my money on that piece of crap post-conversion stuff. Even though I've heard some people say that the post-conversion is getting better, but to me, it's, you know, and I'm saying this with much love for movies like Titanic and Jurassic Park, which just came out in 3D. I gotta say this: those movies were not really intended to be in 3D. They were never shot in 3D, and it's, to me, it's like screwing up the actual experience. It's the same feeling like, you know, George Lucas did with Star Wars. He did all the changes and stuff like that. But, you know, it's, I have no problem with, you know, a studio and director want to re-release the film. You know, clean it up, restore it, show it. I have no problem with that. That is fantastic. You know, I may even go see it. But when they tamper with it and add stuff to it that was never there in the first place, I have problems. I honestly do. And, you know, it's because I think, you know, what they did with Titanic in terms of the restoration, I think it was phenomenal. It looks gorgeous. And I'm sure Jurassic Park looks the same way. But again, you're tampering with the actual experience. It's, I don't know. It's you know, and it's just going to get worse. They're gonna keep toying with it, and you know, 3D is, you know, it's a fad. I honestly agree with Mark Kermode, who hates 3D with a passion. He cannot even stand the shot in 3D material. He says it's bad. It's a passing fad. The only 3D post-conversion I really gave a thumbs up to was the Lion King re-release. I had no problem with that because, you know, that was hand-drawn animated movie, and it actually looked like a pop-up book, and I actually liked that. I thought, you know, because that film was animated on 2D, it was animated on sheets of paper, and in order to give some depth, you know, they had to add some shadows and things like that. But when you give it a post-conversion, it was like it did come to life a little bit, and it actually did feel like you can reach out and touch. You know, reach your hand through the screen and kind of touch, you know, what, you know, an animated African plane a little bit. But it was still 2D, and it moved like a pop-up book, you know. And I did not, and plus it was actually my friend's idea to go see this movie. And he said he actually cannot go and see 3D. It gives him a headache. It messes with his vision. And so we went to the 2D, and I said to him, good, because you know that this movie was, in order for it to be in 3D, they post-converted it. I said it was supposed to be out last year, just in 2D alone, and they post-converted it. He goes, I did not know that. It's crazy. It's just crazy. Crazy world we live in. But yeah, G.I. Joe, it is an entertaining movie. And, you know, it's, again, 3.5 stars. It's okay to see in the theater. But if you want the real good stuff, I mean, watch it in 2D. Don't buy the 3D thing. G.I. Joe Retaliation. See it eventually, and if you don't feel like seeing it in the theater, do see it on Blu-ray. It's gonna look really good on Blu-ray, 2D, and that's pretty much all. It's an entertaining movie. Bruce Willis is great in it, and I'm trying to think, and I had actually forgotten that the guy who played Darth Maul was Snake Eyes. And I forgot Ray Park, and it's a fun movie and it's very entertaining. It's worth checking out. So from me to you, see you later.